Hello everyone! The Brawlers Guild has reopened its doors with new or reworked fights, but there's something more going on in the place that we do not speak of. A murder has taken place while we were busy in the arena. Its victim is poor Quartermaster Quackenbush. Yep, that's his name. Don't worry though, we have the best people on the case, including ourselves. 3 clues are found at the murder scene. Quackenbush lies on the floor, unbreathing, with a sword plunged into the center of his massive, feathery chest. We suspect that this is what killed him. The sword is inlaid with gold and studded with gemstones. Whoever brought this weapon must have had access to tremendous wealth. In the nearby area, there's also a crate, completely emptied out. It's been pried open and all of its contents have been removed. Quackenbush was the arena quartermaster after all, and traded invaluable wares. Whoever stole his merchandise may have been motivated by money. And finally, a scroll. In our many years of adventuring, we've stumbled upon uncountable number of shadowy scrolls, but never anything like this. It is written in a language we do not understand, and the very parchment is permeated with a shadowy energy. This scroll must belong to someone who works with dark, malevolent magic. It's time to do some investigating, to rub shoulders with all the wrong people, and find out who did it. Our investigation begins after proving ourselves capable of winning a few of the brawls. Lord Winifred Brownie is one of the primary suspects in this case, since he is an infamously aggressive speculator and has a list of debts a mile long. He may be in need of money, which is consistent with the evidence we found earlier. At the moment, he's running some sort of gambling game, inviting those with the right coin to guess who is going to win the next fight, champion or beast. A couple of lucky guesses and a chunk of money later, and Lord Brown is suddenly very talkative and very interested. You see, he doesn't exactly have all the money that he owes us, and now it would appear that some very powerful people, they want to break his elbows and his knees. Not to worry though, all he needs to get back above water is for us to lose our next fight. Flop like a fish, as they say. For some, just another day in the Brawlers Guild. For others, maybe a little bit more difficult. He has always said that he's not too proud to commit a few acts of violence to set a wrong right. And you know what's wrong? Him being out of money. Only one person out there has won more gold from him than we have, and his name is Lord Silistrel. Quite the scoundrel, that one. Might even have been cheating. It sure would be nice if we could get that gold back, challenge the man in the brawl, and take what we need. Lord Brown surely likes to talk loudly about his crimes and his debts. He's definitely a suspect to keep our eyes on, but he's not the only one. Shadow Master O'Flaherty has been acting suspicious and is a known shadow magic user. The dwarf, as we go to talk to him, he's mumbling to himself about what a mess it is. It's getting hungry again. Where is he ever going to find enough souls to feed it? Oh, if he could only get his hands on some of those brawlers' purses. Each of them would contain a soul splinter, and luckily, all of the brawling that we're doing so far, it gives us plenty of souls for the Shadow Wielder. These might actually help him with the problem that he has. A problem that he of course can't tell us about. Muttering some more, he goes on about these soul splinters, that they might be too small. It gets so hungry for souls, and when it doesn't get enough, it gets angry. And we definitely do not want to trigger a void apocalypse within the middle of Stormwind. Perhaps if we would go after some of the bigger brawls, the rumbles that drag everybody into the arena against their will, they might be able to produce the super soul splinters that he needs. They might produce enough food for whatever he's talking about. We bring him what he needs, and we give him some privacy to do some completely harmless shadow magic. Now his behavior, it certainly warrants further investigation. With some aid and the defeat of the GG engineering boys, we craft a pair of goggles that would allow us to see into alternate dimensions. To our shock and horror, in the corner of the Brawlers Guild, there lurks a monster known as Skullcrota, consumer of souls, ever hungry for more souls to feed upon. Poor fighters giving up more than they bargained for. It appears that the Void has its claws into the guild, and it looks like we found our perp. O'Flaherty is sketchy, desperate, and his shadow magic is consistent with that shadowy scroll we found earlier. But a good investigator keeps their eyes open for any and all possibilities. One final suspect that we need to investigate, that is Grant Lerby. He's a wealthy, Worgen Death Knight socialite who spends most of his time spectating the arena from the VIP area, That means we're not going to get close to him until we either reach rank 6 in the guild, or we drop a whole bunch of the Brawlers guild and buy temporary access. As we talk to him, we find out that he's bored out of his mind. Our fights were slightly less tedious than the standard humdrum blood sports that the arena is producing lately, but he wants us to help him spice things up a bit. Buy some expensive drinks for ourselves, some of the more cheap stuff for the riffraff down below, and toss a few amber seed buns at the combatants in the arena. Now he knew that we knew how to party, and he's in a much better mood now. Maybe all the arena needs is a bit of new blood to be spilled. Bismo can be so stingy with his invitations, so he took the liberty of having his servants write up a few slightly counterfeit invitations to hand out. We get to do the dirty work for him. Anything it takes to get rid of the boredom. A crime or two in the name of self-entertainment. Who can really blame him? This wealthy Death Knight also has plenty of motive for the murder. Not to mention that the very expensive blade that we found, that could have definitely been his. After all, he would have the resource for such a weapon. In fact, all 3 of our suspects so far, they seem to have plenty of reason and resources to make the murder happen. Only one thing to do, I suppose. Time to take our evidence into court and find out what the jury believes. No, cut that music. That's just asking for a copyright strike. This time, it's not Bane and Tyrande that are defendant and prosecutor, but we do have a much larger jury, and Honorable Judge Brismo is presenting. It's the case of the people versus Brown, O'Flaherty and Lerby. All 3 defendants are charged with murder of the quartermaster. Bailiff Meatball swears in the jury, a mix of the Brawlers Guild bosses, to which the prosecutor makes her opening plea.
Thank you, Your Honor. The 3 defendants have each been charged with murder. We plan to show that at least one is guilty.
And the defense has one simple opening statement.
My clients are innocent.
The people would like to call Noble to the stand. Noble, I'd like to ask you a few questions about Lord Winifred Brown. Is it true that you found a piece of evidence at the scene of the crime that implicates Lord Brown?
Yes.
And what was that evidence?
Now, I'm telling them that I found a betting slip at the scene of the crime, but I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be the stolen supplies.
Thank you. And is it true that in your discussions with Lord Brown you learned about a potential motive?
Yep.
And what was the motive?
Lord Winifred Brown was deep in debt.
And to whom did he owe the money?
Well, not to Jane or Frau, of course. It was Lord Silistrel. The good Lord Brownie does not appreciate us blabbing our lips like that, and he tries to take the law into his own hands. Highly unorthodox. But this is the Brawlers Guild after all. Judge Bismo, he allows it, and under the watchful eyes of the jury, we knock some sense into Winifred's. The counsel, you may continue.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to proceed to some questions about one Shadowmaster O'Flaherty. You also found some evidence that may implicate Shadowmaster O'Flaherty. What did you find?
I unfortunately did not find a signed confession, but we did retrieve a shadowy scroll at the crime scene.
Thank you. And is it true that in your discussions with Mr. O'Flaherty you learned about a potential motive?
Yep.
And what was the motive?
He was very much into collecting souls, including Quackenbushes.
And to whom was he going to give that soul?
You might suspect him to deliver it to his boss, the Lich King. But no, the truth is even stranger. He wanted to feed it to an invisible shadow monster.
Lastly, I'd like to ask you about Grand Lerby. What evidence did you find at the scene of the crime that implicates Mr. Lerby?
A beautiful, expensive jeweled sword.
Thank you. And is it true that in your discussions with Mr. Lerby you discovered a potential motive? And what was the motive?
Yeah. He was simply bored out of his mind.
I see. And what crime did he commit out of boredom?
Well, for one, he decided to have his people make a whole bunch of counterfeit Brawl Pub invitations.
Before I rest, I will ask you, Noble. Who do you think killed our quartermaster?
Honestly, at this point, I chose the option of I don't know who killed him, since all of them seem to be super guilty. But the one perpetrator that the defense comes up, there was not one that I saw coming.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have heard the evidence. Lord Winifred Brown has good reason to kill Quakenbush. He was in deep debt to Lord Silistril. Shadowmaster O'Flaherty also has a good motive. He wanted to feed our quartermaster's soul to an invisible shadow monster. This is also supported by the evidence found at the scene, a shadowy scroll. Grand Lerby had an excellent motive to murder Quakenbush. He was so bored with the Brawl Pub that he distributed counterfeit invitations. To forge invitations simply out of boredom requires a large amount of disposable income, which is consistent with the jeweled sword found at the scene. The people rest, Your Honor.
Objection!
We would like to offer an alternative theory to the jury. Noble killed Quackenbush. You have accused my human client of having motivations to kill our quartermaster. But the records show that you murdered Lord Thelithril in order to steal his fairly earned Brawlers gold. Is that correct?
Well, no, because usually when you defeat someone in the Brawlers Guild, they just get right back up again. Does that mean that I've been murdering everyone?
The witness is lying, Your Honor. We were all there. We all saw that epic beatdown. See? She has financial motivations. And Miss Noble, you also have accused my fine dwarven client of assassinating the quartermaster. However, you murdered 2 innocent engineers during your investigation of my client, correct?
Look, I just thought that this was like a fun fight club kind of thing. I didn't realize that I'm actually murdering everybody and that I was feeding them to the void. My bad.
Will her bloodthirst never end? And finally, Miss Noble, you also have accused my Worgen client of murder. I would like to present to the jury this selfie picture which clearly shows Noble breaking the law by distributing illegal Brawl Pub invitations. She has no respect for the law. Noble has been lying to us this entire time. She behaves like a murderer with something to hide. There is no other explanation than the obvious. Noble killed Quackenbush.
So yeah, they kind of flipped the script on us, and suddenly we go from witness to the killer. Thankfully, new information has come to light. A letter from Area 52, all the way in the Netherstorm. The offer claims to know details about what they call the situation in the Brawl Pub. They don't say more than that, so that's where we go all the way to Outland to see what's up. And there we run into none other than Bismo himself. This is the real Bismo. Any Bismo that we've been working with is a traitor. He doesn't know who he or it might be, but he does know that they're not him. He's him. They caught him from behind, there was a scuffle, and then there was darkness. Then he was here on the other side of the world, without a hearthstone or a copper to his name. We can help him out by either giving him some gold or our very valuable hearthstone. He will actually remove your hearthstone from your inventory to make his way back home. Turns out that there's an imposter in our midst, but Bismo has a plan. He grabbed a challenge card from his attackers during the scuffle. With it, we can challenge his attacker to some sort of ultimate showdown. At first, it just appears to be Bismo waiting for us, but quickly the disguise is tossed away to reveal the ethereal Zanzalish. Not the brightest fighter of them all, as he just keeps on talking, but it does make the challenge a little bit easier. Now watching us fight was quite informative for him, but watching us solve this mystery has been even more illuminating. It's a shame that he had to kill that innocent shopkeeper to set it all in motion. Ah well, that's the price of information. His master will be pleased with all of this. Just one last bit of data to collect. Our death. By the time that he's done monologuing, he's almost defeated already, and our reward, besides the epic Mount Bruce, contains a small hint of who's he been working for. The Blade of the Watcher drops a shadow-scrawled tome. You are my eyes when my eyes are elsewhere. See everything. Remember, record, report. The way they move, the way they fight, their choice of armor, their taste in weapons. Let no detail elude you. Pay special attention to the heroes, the champions, the movers of fate. Watch from afar, watch when up close, interfere if you deem it necessary. Do not fail me, Zanzalish. Know that I have eyes on you too. Signed, Shadrin. The Void Elf fans out there, you might be familiar with Shadrin, as she can actually be found in their starting area, but also during the Trial of Style. And now, here we see the connection to the Brawlers Guild. For some reason, she, and perhaps those connected to her, are observing the world of Azeroth and its heroes. The way that they function, the way that they interact with each other, their armor and taste in weapons. Everything to figure us out, to find their weaknesses and strengths. Perhaps even have more of their blades disguise themselves amongst the population. But for what purpose, only time will tell. I am over the moon though, to see that they haven't forgotten about allied races. I really have high hopes of seeing other storylines, like here we have the Void Elves, right? There's also still the build-up storyline with the Light Force and alternate Draenor. I would love to see these allied races play a bigger part, to see continuation of the storyline, but only time will tell. Safe to say that the focus of the story, it will soon enough switch from the faction war to the void and the darkness that lies underneath. By all means, let me know what you think that they're after, and what's that invisible shadow monster all about. Also, a big thank you to my guildies, to Neviriah and Baelys, for helping bring the court scene a little bit more to life. Quite a bit of fun was had getting those lines recorded, and you can find Nev streaming nearly every day over at Twitch. For now though, thank you very much for watching everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one, and until next time guys, see ya!